Hello, primary 4 students. How are you? Welcome to your science class. As now, we will study lessons 4 and 5 from Concept 2, Unit 4. This is me, Shaimaa Hamdy, and you are watching the Big Sister channel. So, first we have Lesson 4, Activity 8, Wind Erosion. So, let's start our lesson. Okay. We know in the previous lessons, we have learned that water can change the shape of the landscape, as we saw in canyons and valleys. Yes? Now, we will study the wind. Okay? It's a powerful force that changes the landscape. So, wind also change the landscape, as we will see now. Okay? As wind in desert can change the shape of rocks in the desert by erosion. How? As you see here, wind blows on land and it picks sand. Okay, so we have now wind carrying sand particles. Okay, is it clear? So now we have wind that carrying sand particles. Okay, so wind carrying sand and other rock particles. Okay, along with them in the direction of the wind. Okay, until what? Yes, as you see here, when these flying sediments, yes, the sand and the rock particles with the wind, okay, hit a rock, what will happen? Yes, they cause what? Yes, they may wear down the rock. Please take care from this expression, wear down, as it causing weathering, okay? They broke this rock, okay? As these flying sediments with the wind hit rock, so they causing weathering for this big rock, okay? Okay. From here, at this process, done more and more, causing what? Yes, this process carves the rock into different shapes, as you see here, as the wind carrying the sand and small particles of rocks and hit a big rock, so this big rock is broken. Okay, so this process causing what? Carves the rock, and this rock change in its shape, as you see here. Okay, so wind is a powerful force in changing the landscape. Okay, and we have some examples to see how the wind causing weathering and erosion, as they carry sand and other particles that hit the rocks and causing weathering for these rocks and changing their shapes, as you see here. Also here, this shape of these rocks are made by the wind. Okay, also we have here the weathering and erosion that made by the wind, that carrying sand and other small particles. When they hit rocks, they causing change in their shape. Okay, so in the other hand, some landforms are created by erosion. So erosion by wind can change the landforms and can create landforms as what? As a deposition in the sand dunes. As to imagine what happens to form the sand dunes, as the wind carrying sand, yes, and sediments. These sediments hit rock, okay? And this rock blocks the way for this sand, and they fall and down on the ground and form the sand dunes. As this rock is very strong, it blocks the way, causing what? Yes, falling down of the sand and forming sand dunes. Now we will talk about this. Okay, I give you this drawing to remember how the sand dunes form it. Okay, now we will discuss this now. As some landforms are created by erosion and deposition. Okay, at the same time, there is moving particles and then they settle down in this place. So we have erosion and deposition. Like what? Like we have the landform, which is sand dunes, as we mentioned. Okay? Sand dunes are landforms that are made of wind-blown sand when something, like rock, blocks the wind. Okay? The meaning of blocks, to don't allow the wind to pass through it or to go further. Okay? Okay? Landforms are made of wind blown when something blocks, like rock. Something blocks the wind. Okay? So what happened? For this sediment, they settle down, they fall down to the ground and form sand dunes. We have two types of sand dunes. Sand dunes like in beach, okay, as we see here. Also, we have sand dunes in sandy desert, okay. They are large sand dunes, okay. So, sand dunes, as we saw, they are common. They are famous landforms that found between the beach and the sandy desert environments. They found in both beaches and sandy desert environment. They are usually found in groups. We can't see one sand dune. Yes, we see group of sand dunes, okay? And they cover large areas. So this is about the sand dunes. As they can be hundreds meters tall. Okay, so sand dunes usually found in groups. They cover large areas like hundreds of meters tall. Okay? Let us talk more about the sand dunes. As you see here, what happens? Yes, sand dunes are continuously moving. Okay? As you see here, wind blows across a dune, the sand grains as is sand particles, okay, shoot away from the side that the wind comes from. From this side, the wind comes from this side, so the sand particles, the sand grains move from the side that the wind comes from, okay, as the wind carries this from this side, okay? Is it clear? Now we will go to step 2. As you see here, where these sand grains go, yes, the sand grains carried by wind are collected along the slope of the dune. How? As they go with the wind and collected in the slope of the dune. As you see here in this drawing, I made the slope of the dune by the red line, okay? So the sand grains carried by wind, okay, are collected along the slope of the dune, okay? After that, what will happen? Yes, when the sand reaches to the top of the dune, as you know, the dune is a curved shape, okay? When they are collected, okay, on the slope, when they reach to the top of this dune, what will happen? They form a barrier to the wind, and the sand grains roll. Okay, now the sand grains will roll down to the other side because they reaches to the top. Okay, when they are moving again, so they will roll down to the other side. Okay, and so on. This happens continuously. Okay, as the wind blows across the dune, the sand grains root away the side that the wind comes from. Okay, what happens after that? They collected along the slope of the dune, the other dune, as you see here. Okay, they collected until what? They reach to the top. Okay, now the dune form a barrier to the wind. Okay, as the sand grains will roll down, okay, in the other side. From that, what we can conclude? We can conclude that water and wind can change the landscape as what? As canyons and mountains and sand dunes. Okay, all of these are landscapes that we studied that can be changed by the effect of the water or wind. Okay, as running water can wear away. What is the meaning of wear away? Yes, to cause weathering and erosion for the sides of the rivers and the streams. Okay, and the wind can break down rocks. Okay, so both of the water and wind can change landscapes. Now we will go to activity 9. It is a very nice experiment. This activity has the title Sand Shifters. Okay, as you remember that we have learned that the sand dunes are formed when the wind carrying sand blown and hit something like rock. So this rock will block the wind, okay, causing what? That the wind drops the sand in this place, forming sand dunes. Okay, so now we will do an experiment to show how sand dunes are formed and moving. Okay, so we need tools. We need aluminium foil pan, straw, sand, small rock. Okay, as we will place small rock in the pan in one side, okay, of this pan, and then we will put suitable amount of sand in the other side of the pan. So we have two sides in the pan. Side has rock and the other side has small amount of sand, okay, or suitable amount of sand. We will use the straw to blow air, okay, in front the sand with certain direction and small force. Okay? Then we repeat this step with changing the direction and increasing the force of blowing air. We will blow air stronger. Okay, so what we can observe here, yes, that when we blow air with small force, the sand travels long distance or small distance. We blow the air with small force, so the sand will move, yes, small distance. Okay, and by increasing the force of blowing air, as we will blow air stronger, so what will happen? The sand will move longer distance. Okay, okay, and when we blow the air in the same direction of the rock, okay, the sand will move in this direction, and what will happen? The sand will be blocked by this rock and collected in front of this rock. Okay, so we will blow the air in the same direction of the small rock, so the sand will move in this direction, and it will be blocked by this rock and will collect it in front of this rock. Okay, and now we know how the sand dunes are formed. Okay, so the conclusions here: the wind moves the sand where the distance that the sand travels depend on the force of the wind. Okay, if it's strong wind, so it will move the sand longer distance. If the wind is gentle wind, so it will cause that the sand moves small distance. Yes? Okay. The way that sand moves depend on the direction of the wind. Okay? And the dunes are often formed when something blocks the path of the sand. Okay? So, if there is a thing that blocks the way, the path of the sand, okay, such as rocks, so the sand dunes will be formed. Now we have lesson 5. Activity 10, describing landforms. We have learned about the landforms, like what we studied: canyons, valleys, sand dunes, yes, deltas. All of them are landforms. So we have learned about the landforms and how they are formed. Canyons and valleys are formed due to what? Yes, erosion by water and wind, as the water and wind carved these rocks, these mountains, okay, and moves the small sediments from this place, so they are formed by erosion. Okay, this is a very important point here. Canyons and valleys are formed due to erosion by water and wind. Okay, what about deltas? Yes, they are formed by deposition. Yes, as deltas are fan-shaped or triangular shape where rivers enters lakes or oceans or seas. When the river meets a large water body like lakes or seas or oceans, so here the sediments, which we call it silt, will deposit or will settle down in this place, forming deltas. So they are formed by deposition. Yes? So by the deposition process, deltas are formed. Okay? Okay. Now we know canyon and valleys formed by erosion process, and deltas are formed by deposition process. And finally, we have the sand dunes are formed by what? Erosion and deposition processes caused by wind, as the wind carries the sand particles and sediments, so this is erosion. And when they are settled down, when they are plugged by something like rock, so now this is a deposition process. So sand dunes are formed due to erosion and deposition processes by wind. With this point, we finished our lessons and our science classes this term. So best wishes for you. Study hard and you will be happy with your marks and with your success. So thank you for watching. See you next video in revisions, okay? Don't forget to subscribe, like, share my channel, and goodbye.